Let's try to share. Can anyone confirm that my screen is already on your screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, perfect, perfect. With that, welcome to today's session. I know it's a little bit of a different time for you. For me in Austria, in Europe, it's 6 in the evening, so my workday already ended. And I'm really happy that I'm allowed to present for your user group. Maybe in the future, I'm gonna find my way to Toronto itself and present there. But today I do it virtually from Austria. As already said, today I would like to talk about data governance, Microsoft Fabric, and how they work together. What is in Microsoft Fabric for you? Maybe you've seen some parts of it, maybe some parts are new. And I've got also Microsoft Purview with me. So the data governance, data security tool from Microsoft. And with that, just a few words about myself. My name is Wolfgang. I'm a data consultant working and living in Austria, in Europe, in the middle of Europe. And I work on data projects together with our customers. And I started as a software engineer, quickly moved into data engineering, building data warehouses using SQL Server. And now it's everything in the cloud. So Azure Data Services and Microsoft Fabric, and also Microsoft Power BI since the beginning. But in the last year or so, well, most of our customers, most of our new projects moved into the direction of Fabric. And what I've seen too is, especially with the start and the need for AI solutions, the need to know more about your data, the need to know more, where does my data come from? What's the data quality? What are the people that are responsible for some pieces of data? That really got more and more attention. So data governance was also a thing I quickly moved into. Besides developing data warehouse solutions, well, it was more about the process, about the people, the technology, the policies, and so on, to really deal with the data. And that's my day-to-day life, building solutions for and together with our customers. And I also blog and speak at certain events around the globe. So FabCon next month in Las Vegas. If you're attending, please reach out and stop me to say hi and have a quick chat. And I also recorded some videos about Microsoft Purview. You can find them on YouTube. And with that, today's topic, as I said, data governance with Microsoft Fabric and also with Microsoft Purview. And the big question is, do they work together? Is it a love or a love-hate relationship? And within the next 55 to 60 minutes, I would like to guide you through the book of data governance, and including the chapters of Microsoft Purview, Microsoft Fabric, and how they work together. So maybe at the end, we will see, is it a love relationship or are there some pieces missing that they don't really work together? And with that, I would like to start with the first chapter and open the first chapter of the book, Data Governance. And if you look for a definition or the definition of data governance, it's not easy. If you search for that one, I found out that Google doesn't display the number of results anymore. But if I scroll down here, many pages over there. So usually at our customer workshops, whenever I ask the people in the room, let's say 5 people in the room, I get like 7 different definitions of data governance. So every person has a different understanding of data governance. And what I think is, I could talk about the different definitions, what is included in data governance, what are the main pillars and so on for a day, a week, and so on. But it's more a thing of what I usually do. And if you see or have seen some of my posts on social media, it's quite easy. You should treat your data better. Data governance is the thing you should know more about your data. You should know who is responsible for a certain data context, a data entity. Who's the data owner? Who's the data steward? So who's the person that really is in charge of getting good data into your systems? Who are the people that know how the data systems are collected or connected, about the data lineage? How about the data quality? What are the legal requirements, the policies you have to follow? In Europe, we've got the GDPR to protect PII data, and that is really a thing. So there are legal requirements, there are other like governmental requirements. So there in the chat, we cannot see your document. Anyone else experiencing
I can
problems
see
with
it.
this? Okay.
Yeah, it's up. Yep.
Okay.
It looks
The
like a lot of
others?
other people can see it. So that person that
Okay.
commented, if you just want to check your settings.
It's usually the thing, maybe just exit and come back, try Teams again. Maybe Teams needs some sort of a hiccup. So what data governance is, there are books about it. So there are big books where data governance and all the data management processes are defined. I talk about to treat your data better, and that is one of the definitions. And it's not the formal university degree definition. It's not the certificate you get after that one. But when you think about that, think about the processes, think about the policies, think about, at the end, the people, and at the very end, the technology. So those are the four things that are really important. But with technology, it's usually a thing that helps you and should help you to get into data governance. And also data governance, it's not a project. So think about, you start getting into data governance maybe with an initial data governance project to think about the data strategy, the data governance strategy, the team and the policies and so on. But ongoing, it's a process, because your data landscape changes. So it's an ongoing process. So you're not done with the first project, let's say for 3 months, 6 months, and then you are into data governance and everything is okay. No, it's an ongoing process. And with that, I would like to move on to the second chapter. So Microsoft Fabric. And just a short question in your direction. Who has not heard about Microsoft Fabric before? Is there anyone in the audience that has never heard about Microsoft Fabric before? And I don't expect like really people that have not really heard about Fabric, but there are some things I wanted to really highlight why I think Microsoft decided to get into Microsoft Fabric. Whenever we build data warehouses in Azure Data, we had many different solutions. And there is a question. There's one hand up. Yes, please.
I just had my hand raised because I haven't heard of data like Fabric, Microsoft.
Okay,
Fabric.
perfect. So I will tell you a short introduction what Fabric is. So what we had in like 2, 3, 4 years ago, we had many different data services in Azure. We had many different options to store data. We had many different options to integrate data, to transform data, and also to model and to visualize. So with that landscape, it was somehow easy to find an optimal solution for a customer, because we had smaller services we could use. We had Synapse Analytics, the dedicated pools for huge amounts of data, but it wasn't that easy to estimate the costs. It was not that easy to put them together, that they work in an ideal way. And what Microsoft did with Microsoft Fabric, they introduced a unified software as a service analytics solution. So that is the marketing slogan they named it. And what actually they did was they integrated the already existing services like the Azure Data Factory, some event streaming like stream analytics, databases, notebooks where you could write your data engineering, machine learning, where you've written your Python, your PySpark, your R code into notebooks, and Power BI into the Microsoft Fabric umbrella. And what they did, they put it into one portal. So it's app.powerbi.com, fabric.microsoft.com. It's the portal where you enter the Fabric experience. But they did also a different thing. In the former times, when we took data from a source system, moved it into the cloud, for example, a data lake storage, and then moved it into a database, and then moved it into a Power BI semantic model, data was copied. So it was copied from the data lake into the database, into the Power BI semantic model. And all of these services, they used a different mechanism to store the data. So binary format for the database, binary format for the Power BI semantic model. And that changed in the Fabric context, because with the introduction of the One Lake. And what's the One Lake? It's a data lake storage, but with one difference. Every one of those workloads, so I haven't named them workloads here, so data factory, analytics, databases, Power BI, those are called workloads. And every one of those workloads, they are able to store their data in One Lake. And on the other hand, if I store the data using Data Factory in One Lake, analytics workloads like a notebook, a lakehouse, they can read that data natively. So all of the workloads, they speak the same language. They store the data in an open format, and it's not a Microsoft invented data storage format. It's the Delta format. Parquet format as the data storage binary format, but on top they included the Delta level, layer, which allows us to have some transactional information and work with files in your data lake as if it is a table. And that is that still is the thing that really amazes me when I talk about Fabric and work with Fabric. I don't really care what's the engine that writes the data. Every other engine within Fabric is able to read that data. So the One Lake, it's my highlight over here. And we've got the year 2025 Copilot is included. And also Microsoft Purview on the top, or not on the bottom, sorry, for having the data catalog, the data compliance, and the data security in there. So Microsoft Fabric, it's a software as a service. You don't have to care about instantiating a new data lake storage account, configuring the storage levels, and so on. It's done by Microsoft Fabric. And with that sounds really nice, right? We've got one place to store the data. We've got one tool, one portal. We've got integrated security that you can configure to have your data secured in Fabric, which sounds like green tick marks on our checklist for the topic of data governance. So we've got one place, we don't have to copy the data, we can define security in there, and so on and so forth. Sounds about right, but let's see what is actually in there. What are the features that can be really used for data governance in Microsoft Fabric? So let's start. What actually is there for the topic of governance in Fabric? Because governance, as I said, many definitions, many different topics that work together. And if I start that one and I think about governance in Microsoft Fabric, I can talk about access definition, security, about data lineage, about the rights to create new workspaces in Microsoft Fabric, about different settings. Am I allowed to export data, publish my reports to the web? How about gateway creation? How about monitoring of all that stuff? How about the access and collaboration with externals? So it's a huge field of all the things that need to be governed, monitored, and provided in a right way from the administrators to the users. So let's start with the first thing and an overview. What are the different pillars? I will focus on my demos. So the first thing is we need to think about how to manage our data estate. What are the settings? What need to be fine-tuned for in order to prevent data loss, for example, to set the rights to only a specific group, a smaller group that are allowed to create workspaces, capacity administrators, and so on. So it's really a needed thing not to leave all those settings in the default state. Next, it's about security. So how to secure your Fabric environment, how to secure that only the right people have access to your data, and also maintain compliance. So I've got some demos in that field with me. And also, what is really a thing, if you treat your data better, you gain more trust in your data. So encourage data discovery, trust, and use. So it's really a needed thing that not only you prepare your data, you create nice lakehouses, semantic models, you have to put and provide them to the users. The best data lakehouse is not really the best one if it is not used. So we have to think, and I will show you, data catalogs, different levels of data catalogs. There's one in Microsoft Fabric, and there's a broader one with the Microsoft Purview data catalog. And at the end, it's about monitoring, getting better, finding out some uncovered insights, and really, move to the next level of data governance. As I said, data governance, it's not a project, it's a program and ongoing process. And with that, let's start with the first demo. Maybe you've seen that one, so I'm gonna bring up my demo browser. Maybe you've seen the admin portal. So if I go to the settings page, I've got two links, and I will start with the admin portal over here. And the admin portal, maybe you've been there and your list was not that long. Maybe you've only seen like the capacity settings in here. But for Fabric administrators, we've got the tenant settings over here. And those are the settings that really control different aspects of your Fabric environment. And they are grouped into several groups in here. So we've got the Microsoft Fabric group, we've got some workspace settings, information protection, export and sharing, and so on. So there, the list is getting longer and longer. And one of those things I would really recommend is, like, if I move down to the workspace settings, who is allowed to create workspaces? Self-service is okay. It's really nice to have the ongoing and the growing percentage of users that really use Power BI and Fabric. But as I usually say, I like self-service using guardrails. And one of those guardrails I would define is to limit the number of people that are allowed to create new workspaces. Or if I think and have a look at the export settings, I've got the option to enable or disable the export to Excel, to publish to web, and so on and so forth. So many of those tenant settings are in there, and it's really a thing you should consider. There's a documentation page out there, and as I said, the list is getting longer and longer. And when I say that the list is getting longer and longer, maybe it would be nice to have some sort of like a better overview than the admin portal, which is okay-ish to work with it, but for an overview or something else. And there is a solution, or there are solutions out there. And Microsoft, the Fabric team, the Power BI team, they provide us with some APIs. So we can programmatically fetch all the tenant settings and include the information who's allowed to use that feature. Is it enabled? Is it disabled? That returns some JSON structure, which is not that easy to read. And there are community solutions out there. Like one of my MVP colleagues, Just, he created a solution to extract the tenant settings, store it in a database, and you can have a look and list that one. Think about a solution that tracks the different settings information over time, and you see, okay, there was a new tenant setting added, or that one changed like last Monday. So really, really good to have the overview, not only have the settings set in your admin portal, but also have the overview and the documentation out there. At the end of the session, I will show you another demo where you get the overview what's actually in there. Another aspect, it's about data lineage. As I said, I'm data warehouse developer building analytics solution, and in I think 100% of my data warehouse projects, the main question is, what's the source for that measure? Where does the data come from? And what are the different tables that really go into that table in my semantic model in Power BI? And maybe you've seen that one. There's a data lineage view already built in the Fabric portal. So let's move to a workspace. And you maybe have seen and worked with the list view. What is really nice and sometimes overseen, it's the lineage view. So we can switch and turn on the lineage view over here. And what we get is a graphical representation of the relationships between the different Fabric items. And if I scroll down over here, I've got a lakehouse over here, and I can also highlight the lineage. So maybe let's take that report over here, the direct lake report, and track the data lineage. So that is really an important aspect of data governance, to find out where does my data come from, yeah, and what are the artifacts that depend on my report over here. So turn on the show lineage. If I switch to that SQL Analytics endpoint, I see all the items that are dependent on the specific item. One thing I wanted to add, that data lineage view is very nice and you get information out of it, but it's limited to Fabric. And maybe, and not only maybe, you've got other systems in your environment. So it's not only Fabric that has your data in there and data transformations between the different services. So think about a more global approach to that one, and I will show it to you later on in a demo. So data lineage, it's built in, just use that one. And another way how you can structure and define more information about your Fabric items, it's the concept of endorsement. Maybe you've heard about that one. They are there since the beginning of Power BI. What you can do with the concept of endorsements is you can add like a classification to a report, a semantic model, a lakehouse, and so on. And the endorsements, they are a really nice way. So bring it up here, go to settings of a lakehouse, for example, and we've got the endorsements over here. And there are different levels, like none, it's the standard one, and promoted, it's the level where you can promote your data set, your lakehouse to others. And what is really nice, and that is really a thing that works well in customer environments, it's the level of certified. So if you put the endorsement of certified onto or assign it to a lakehouse, that really makes a difference, because promoted, that one can be set by anyone. But the certified flag, that one can be defined in the tenant settings that only a small group of people can assign the certified flag. And in one of our biggest customer environments, we've got a small group of people that follow a checklist. And if that semantic model, the Power BI semantic model, follows all the required rules and checks, only in that case, the certified endorsement is added to that semantic model. What is really nice, if you connect from Power BI Desktop to a published or to your Power BI service, to your Fabric service, you get those certified and promoted items on top. And that is really a thing. It's also a learning process in that named customer environment. It took them some time that they got used to that. But now people really prefer to connect and use certified items in contrast to non or promoted items. So that really increases your data trust and data usage in that case. So endorsements. Another way how we can add more metadata to our Fabric environments and Fabric items is the concept of tags. That one is quite new, and we will find the definition of the tags also in our Power BI admin portal. So we've got the tags, the preview over here, and what you can do is you can add your tags, and it's simply a name tag that can be assigned to different Fabric items. I've got financial data, sales data, and webinar data, and it's the same approach as we did with the endorsement. And as you can see here, there are icons added. So there is the icon, okay, for the another lakehouse, I already assigned the financial data, I'm gonna zoom in, and the webinar data. Same way to set, move to settings, the tags preview, and we can remove, for example, the financial data and add the sales data to that one. And close that one. See, yeah, we've got webinar data and sales data. So another way, endorsement, it's about the quality level and the recommendation level of your Fabric items. The tagging allows you to create tags and, well, group items in your Fabric environment. It's a very nice way to really add some metadata to that one. And another thing, it's the domains. And maybe you've heard about the concept of data domains. Maybe you've heard about data mesh and how to group your data landscape into data domains. And you can also create your domain hierarchy in Fabric. So where are they? They are here. And what you can do is you can create and structure your Fabric environment into domains. As I said, you can create hierarchy. So I've got the finance domain, a subdomain controlling. And what you do is you assign workspaces to your domain. And in my case, the finance domain, and I've got 2 workspaces assigned. So my Fabric workspace 02 and the Fabric finance workspace is assigned to that domain. The domain itself, it's nothing more than a logical grouping as of now. So the domain settings, it's quite limited what you can do. Add an image, add some administrators, contributors, and so on. It's not the thing where you can set some permissions and so on. So it's a logical grouping, and that's what is all about, like adding tags, domains, and endorsements. It's to enhance and provide more information about your Fabric items. And data governance. Okay, Scott, I think I answered that one. A logical grouping, but does it also provide security? No, it does not. And a good question in the chat, can domains be linked with Purview and can membership be changed from Purview? Not as of today. So I will show you in the demo later on. In Purview, we also have a concept of domains, but domain on the left side and domain on the right side, they are not the same as of today. Data governance also includes data security. And when we talk about data security in Microsoft Fabric, we've got different layers. First of all, we've got the thing to talk about in and outbound security, like how to secure the connection from the public internet, from your internet to your Fabric environment, private links, conditional access, and so on and so forth. The workspace and item security is the next level. So define the appropriate security level on the workspace level, who's an administrator, who's allowed to modify the data, and who's only there to view the data. Also about data security, think about row level security, think about object level security, think about data masking, all that stuff that really secures your data. It's there before any one of you or us can access our data in Fabric. And also, not to forget, there are other ways how to secure and enhance the data security in Purview in Microsoft Fabric. We have to deal with regulations. We have to think about data encryption, think about data protection, and so on and so forth. And when talking about data information protection, I'm going to show you something. Maybe in your company, you work and you've got the sensitivity labels in place. So I'm going to move that one over here. And in my environment, it's not enabled. But what you can see here, maybe you've seen that one, that you can add a sensitivity label to a document, like internal only, can be shared with external people, it's highly confidential, and so on. So those sensitivity labels, they are part of the Microsoft Purview and also the Microsoft M365 world. But sensitivity labels are also integrated into Microsoft Fabric. And what we can do is we can have a look at the settings again, and we've got the sensitivity labels over here. So what you see here, it's a sensitivity label hierarchy that was created in Purview and can be used in SharePoint Online to assign a sensitivity label to a Teams meeting, but also to apply a sensitivity label, onto your Fabric items. And I will change the view again to the lineage view, and I will show you something, because all those relationships are not only relationships that are drawn, but I can also show you the relationship between all of them. So if I change it from all employees to management only, Fabric tells me, hey, there are dependent items. And what I do with that sensitivity labels, well, they are inherited. If I change it here at the beginning of my data flow and relationship, well, that sensitivity label is inherited. And also inherited not only in the same workspace, but also to other workspaces. So that is the combination of data lineage, data security, and the inheritance of sensitivity labels. You might now ask, why sensitivity labels? What's the thing with it? It's not only a label. We can apply policies to that one. And with the appropriate policy, information protection or data loss prevention policy, we can block the export of data, for example, or we can only allow the export to Excel for internal users, but block it to external ones. That is the same mechanism that is used whenever we apply sensitivity labels and policies to Microsoft documents. And where does it all come together? So I've talked about adding tags, endorsements, sensitivity labels, data lineage, and all that stuff. And there is one place where it all comes together. It's the local data catalog within Microsoft Fabric. And that one is called the OneLake catalog. So again, move over here. And the OneLake catalog is here. If I open that one, I get the list of all the items that are there in my Fabric environment. And if I filter down, what is the list of my items? So the items I'm the owner of. But I can also filter down to only those endorsed items. Okay, and I see, I've got 2 endorsed items. But that is not quite correct, because I've already set a filter. And if I remove the filter of the domain, I see there are more certified and more promoted items in there. And I can also filter down that I only want to have a look at items that have the webinar data assigned. And I can also filter down to different item types. So it's really a thing where you can start your data journey. You can use the filter, the keyword box to search for data. And when you found the Fabric item you want to look at, you get the details. And those are the details of, in my case, of a lake house. And what we can do is we can have a look at the data lineage. And that is, again, if I move to the graphical view, the data lineage we've already seen. And again, it's the local lineage. It's the lineage that is there within Fabric. What else is there? It's the monitoring tab. I've got no runs for my data lakehouse in that example. If I would have chosen a pipeline, well, I would see all the runs of my pipeline. So that is really a thing. Start with the global list of your Fabric item, use the search box, filter down by tags, filter down to the different domains, filter down by workspace. So it's really the data catalog. Like as you would shop online in a store somewhere, you can filter down and find the things that are really, really needed and important for you. So the One Lake data catalog. And there's one thing that was added beginning of February, and I will show you that one. The One Lake data catalog, initially it was just the Explore tab. What we got now, since the beginning of February, it's a second tab that is called Govern. And that one takes a few seconds to load, but what can you expect there? It's an overview about the governance state of your Fabric environment. So if it loads, I'm gonna give it some more seconds. 1, 2, 3. No, takes too long. So I'm gonna move to the screenshot. What you see here, it's the overview. I've got 3 domains, 3 top-level domains in my environment, 38 workspaces, almost 400 items in there. I've seen the distribution by item type, and there are some information like I've got, well, too much items without description, and I've got too many items that I haven't accessed for a long time. Same here, refresh date is too old. So that is really the overview, quite high on that top, where you see, okay, I've got too many items that maybe need some more love to do some more and add some more information. So refresh your inactive items. That is the second part, recommended actions. Increase sensitivity label coverage, percentage of endorsed items, and so on and so forth. So, and if I start here, that's not the screenshot, or it's not working on the screenshot. Now it loaded, but I can have a look here and I get, okay, step 1, 2, 3 to reach that one. So it's really a good start to get to know more what's going on and maybe what is missing in a metadata angle in there. And there's a similar view if I open that settings page, and now coming back to the Microsoft Purview Hub here, it's a similar view about your data curation state in Fabric. And here we've got a report, and that one, for example, shows me how about the sensitivity labels. How many of my items do have a sensitivity label applied? What are the most missed or most labeled workspaces or domains in that case? I can get down to the workspaces, to the item types. I can set my target over here, go over to the endorsement and so on. So it's really a thing where we get all the summarized information. We've got some missing information. We should add more tags, sensitivity labels, and so on and so forth. So this is where it really comes together within Fabric. Start by enhancing your metadata, adding a description, adding tags, assigning endorsement labels, and so on, and have a look at the One Lake data catalog, as you can see here, but also at the Purview Hub that gives you an answer or some hint where you could improve and, well, add some more information in there. And at the end, it's about the monitoring. So we need to see what's going on in our environment. We need to learn what are the things where we can improve. And first of all, when we deal with Fabric, we've got those capacities that really power our Fabric environment. And we need some more information about how much is going on in here. So what are the pieces that really turn down or burn down our capacity. And we also can have a look at the runs, notebook runs, pipeline runs, have a deeper understanding or get a deeper understanding what is really happening in my environment. And metadata-wise, I've already shown you the Purview Hub for getting a better feeling about your data curation state. And there's one thing I wanted to show you at the end of the Fabric chapter. It's another community project. It's called Fabric Unified Admin Monitoring. I'm really curious, and maybe that person or that, yeah, you can write into the chat if you've heard about that one before, because that is quite new, but it's very, very powerful. So is anyone in the audience that has heard? Yeah. Got one yes. And it really is fantastic. So the link to that one is in the slide, and I'm going to send the slides and you will get them after the session. And in that GitHub repo, you find a notebook. And that notebook contains everything and the README steps, how you can start and integrate everything that you need for a comprehensive monitoring of your Fabric environment. So that notebook installs the notebooks, the pipelines, the semantic model, the Power BI reports. And what you get at the end, it's really nice because you get the graphical overview of your Fabric environment. So it really starts with the Fabric tenant overview. How many capacities are there? How are they distributed? So as you can see, I've got two of them, one in West Europe, the other one in the North Europe data center. I've got 5 capacities in my environment. 22 workspaces are assigned to capacities. We can drill down to the artifacts. So we can see how many semantic models, reports, and so on. What are the top workspaces? What are the capacities that really use the most or have the most Fabric items assigned? How about the capacities itself? Where are they? What are the workspaces? So very, very comprehensive, including all the filters you need. The workspaces, some details about the workspaces. How many artifacts are there? What is the top most used artifact in there? Another approach of the OneLake/data catalog, we've got a list here. We can search and drill down and find the information about that one. Activity overview, so the last days, what is going on. We've got some create data flow, run data flow activities, and so on. What about the active users? So who is using my Fabric environment? What's going on in my environment? What is the most used Fabric dashboard, for example? And last but not least, we heard about the tenant settings, and you've got the graphical interface over here. So you can filter down, for example, I would like to only see developer settings. And it is filtered down over here. And if I open that one, I get the information that is here. So there should be, there's no tooltip over here. But it's a very, very comprehensive overview. It's free. The documentation is there. And you really get from the top level overview down to the basics, to the activities, to the users that really are there in your Fabric environment. So as I've shown you, there are things built into Fabric directly by Microsoft, and there are community sources out there that you can use to enhance and govern and learn more about your Fabric environment. And with that, it's time to broaden our horizon. It's not only Fabric. Fabric is the unified analytics solution, but I think in 100% of all the companies, we've got more data sources, we've got more data storage, we've got more data transformation going on than only one analytic solution. And that is the thing where some data governance and unified or global data catalogs kicks in. And one of those examples from Microsoft, it's Microsoft Purview. And maybe you've heard about Microsoft Purview, and what actually is Microsoft Purview is the most question. So whenever we talk about governance, security, it's getting more and more related, and it's getting more and more important. Things are coming together. They have to get closer. But when we talk about Purview, maybe you've used Azure Purview, but is Azure Purview now in Microsoft Purview? What actually is in there? So when we talk about Microsoft Purview is a solution and different services that deal with your data along the data lifecycle, from the creation of a data set until the end, the archive, the deletion. And it deals with structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. And what it actually contains are 3 different areas. Microsoft Purview deals with data security. It also deals with data compliance. And in the middle, we've got the data governance layer. And it helps you, based on a shared platform capabilities, that it really brings all those and those 3 areas together. So Purview is about to secure your data along the life cycle. I've talked about one of those examples where I talked about the sensitivity labels, the information protection. So set a label, assign a label to a document or to a Fabric item. In Fabric, that information is inherited. So from the lakehouse to the semantic model to the report, and even to the Excel file that is exported from that report. And then you can secure that one. So data security is one thing. Another one is about data compliance. It's about communication compliance. Are we forced or required to delete data after a certain amount of time? So everything that deals with data compliance to follow some regulatory requirements and so on. So that's the data compliance part. And the data governance part, and that is the demo I'm going to show you in the next few minutes. It's about the data governance, the data cataloging part, to know more, to scan your data sources, to get an overview about the data sources, the relationships that are in there in your environment, and also to add some more of a logical information. What are the data domains? What are the data products that are there? And also data quality is built in. And I will show it to you in a demo. So let's dive into the demo. And we've got it here. So with Microsoft Purview, it's now integrated. Microsoft Purview got under a single umbrella, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, where the different services that were listed on the previous slide now got the same name, but also the same portal. And last year, we got that simple portal, purview.microsoft.com, where we get access to all the different solutions I mentioned, like the different core solutions, so the data map, the settings. We've got access to the risk and compliance, so all the different services that deal with that. Data governance, the data catalog, and the data security, like information protection, data loss prevention. So all that stuff that deals with how to secure your data, how to stop the not wanted data export, and so on. And that is the Purview portal. In my demo, I would like to show you the data cataloging approach. And with the data cataloging, we have to start with the data map. So first step is to fill the data map. And the second step is to have a closer look at the data catalog. So we have to deal and connect to data sources. And that's the first concept. In the data map, Purview can connect to data sources. That list is getting longer. It's not only Microsoft services. So as you can see, we've got Amazon in here, and we also have like Databricks. We can scan the Databricks Unity catalog. We can scan our Fabric environment. And that is a really, really good thing. And we can also scan on-premises SQL Server. We can scan Oracle. We can scan SAP systems. So that is the first thing and the first step, where we add all the data systems that are there in our environment. We can group them into collections. So we can add some sort of logical grouping. Like I've got my business intelligence collection, and I've got databases, and I've got data lakes. So I can group those sources into my collections. And the next step is I need to add some scans. because the registration of a source, it's nothing more than a name. What I need to add here and configure, it's a scan. And during that scan process, Purview connects to your source. Let's stick to an Azure SQL database and scan the database and get the schema out of it. So list of schemas, list of tables, list of columns, data types, and so on. And in addition, during that scan process, we can tell Purview to search for some data patterns. We can search, for example, the Austrian passport number. We can search for identity cards, social security numbers, or we can search for Canada bank account numbers, driver's license numbers. And that is the process where Purview has a look at your data. That is one of the two pieces where Purview really has a look at the real data. Everything else that Purview gets after the scan, it's metadata. It's the schema names, the table names, but not the actual data. So you don't find a select top 100 of your data entries within Purview over here. There's a question, Kai. SSIS reports are not supported out of the box. And what is the result after a scan? Well, we got a list of data assets. And that is the thing where I move from the data map. So that is the technical foundation, the data, well, yeah, the data map. What are the different services? How are they connected? And we can have a look in the data catalog and have a look at the data assets in here. And we can search and browse our data catalog, the data map, by source type. For example, I know, okay, I've got a database somewhere, I've got a production database somewhere, and I can drill down to the different assets. And a data asset in my example can be a table, can be a view, can be a stored procedure, but also can be a file in a data lake or a semantic model, a Power BI report, and or a lakehouse in Microsoft Fabric. And if I drill down, I get to the details of my data asset. So what you can see here, it's Azure SQL table. It's stored in the database on that server within that schema. And I've got some glossary terms assigned. So glossary terms, it's not the technical definition, it's more the business language. So how is a customer defined in our environment, and we can assign those information to our data assets. We get information about the schema, and what you see here, those are the classifications. And in my case, okay, customer name has the classification all full names assigned. So that is the thing where Purview puts everything together. And when I say puts everything together, we can have a look at the lineage. And that one is not only the lineage that is in a SQL database, it's the lineage, zoom in here, that contains information. MySQL table is the source for a Power BI dataset and some Power BI reports. But to go back, that SQL table is filled by copy activities that read data from a data lake, get some information from a database table, have some transformations in between. And what we can also do in some of the connectors, we get a column level lineage. So if I select the customer number in my table, I get the information, okay, that is fed by the CRM number from that file, which actually got fed by the CRM ID from another database table. So that is the data lineage that is in there. And that's the difference between the local catalog in Fabric. That one is the overview and the broader view of your data landscape. What else is in there? The context. So responsibility. It's really important to define the responsibilities. But the most important and most interesting stuff in here, it's that if I get back to the data assets, there is a so-called live view. So I said we can register Fabric, but there is also a live view from Purview directly into your Fabric environment. And you don't need to scan that one. You can just go, well, browse by type, Fabric, and get to that Fabric workspace 02, and you get all the information like the lake houses that are in there. And you get the details about the another lake house. So the one I've shown you there, we've got the tables in there. So I can have a look at the dim date. And again, it's the data asset detail. And well, a catalog is much, much more fun if we search the catalog, because that's the reason why we try to collect all the information about our data estate. And if I search for customer in my data catalog, or let's move back to that one, we've got 15 sources in here, 12,000 assets. And if I search for customer, I get a list of almost 130 results. And I can filter down by all the information. And as I mentioned it during the Fabric environment, we've got all the information assigned here. So I can filter down, I need an email address. And I know my colleague told me it's stored in a SQL database. So it filters down from 130 to 5. And I can open the details and open that one in Power BI desktop, for example. So that is the technical data layer. That is the technical data catalog. What else is in there? I know I'm a little bit over time, 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm done. Enjoy your day. Thanks for joining, and you will see the rest in the recording. What else is in there? I talked about the governance and the data domains. So we have the option to define a domain hierarchy in Purview 2. Those two are not mapped to each other. So the domains in Fabric are different to the domains in Purview. But with the governance domains in Purview, you can define and create like the product information description for your data users. And in that case, I've got a sales domain and I've got 2 data products in there. So sales products and the sales data in there. And what is the next level? Well, a data product is related to data assets. And those data assets, they are part of the data catalog, the data map. So I can add or I can create a data product, sales data, that has a reference to address data, to that lake house, to the customers list, to sales data in a Power BI report. And with that information, it sums up, if I go here and search for sales information in my data products, what I get back is a good thing, because I think I made an error. Yeah, that one is not published. So I have to publish my data product in order that it can be found. And if I search for sales now, this should return, yeah, my data product for that one. And with the data product, well, users can start and request access to that one. Really important, add more description. Add relationship to who's the product owner, more information, relation to documentation, and so on and so forth. So that is really a thing where you can build the data catalog in Microsoft Purview. And with that, as I'm over time, I'm gonna skip some of those slides over there, but think about, we've got Microsoft Fabric. We've got the unified approach to store the data, to have everything for your analytics in one place. But there is more. If you think about your data landscape in your company, there is more. And what you maybe need is the more broader view for like a data catalog for Microsoft Purview. Maybe add some more information and more data security with the information protection, data loss prevention, sensitivity labels coming from Microsoft Purview. And Microsoft named and added the term of local catalogs like the Fabric OneLake catalog or the Databricks Unity catalog, and the global data catalogs like Microsoft Purview, the unified catalog in there. So think about that. There are many, many options already built in Microsoft Fabric to support and enhance your data governance journey. But if you want to have a broader view, more included systems into your environment, it's the Microsoft Purview thing. And with that, I'm here at the slide from the beginning. Microsoft Purview, Microsoft Fabric, and data governance. And I hope you agree with me, they are already at a, I would say, good relationship. So many of those pieces can be shared within the other. There are many supportive features in Microsoft Fabric that really help you to have a better understanding and get into data governance by using those tools. And with that, sorry of running a little bit over, but I hope you enjoyed it. And there was one question I see in the chat already for the pricing change. And yes, there is a price change, or there has been a price change at the beginning of this year for the Purview data map. That one was really for small companies, not the easiest way, like $400, $300 minimum per month, even if you don't use it. But now they changed the approach, and the billing changed from all those data assets that are assigned to a data product. And that is the main pricing thing. If you've got more questions, Scott, just ping me and I'm going to send you some more details about that one.
Thank you so much, Wolfgang. That was an amazing presentation. We've
Thank
got
you.
lots of good feedback already and people showing their reaction there in the chat. So I guess for the people that had to drop off, we did record the session, so we'll upload that to our site and we'll share your presentation with everybody.
Yeah, gonna send it to you later on.
Yeah, awesome. And then we'll make sure that we can share your LinkedIn if they have any further questions, if that works for you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and we will see you at our next session. Thank you again so much, Wolfgang, and all the best and have fun at Fabric.
Yeah, thank you very much, and treat your data better. That's the thing you should remember.
All right,
Bye.
see you everybody.